really pornography or anything like that, or even just whatever that might be in your life, it's kind of just a pacifier to the emotions and the feelings I wasn't allowing for Jesus to really held and attuned to.
Welcome to the Ron Huntley Leadership Podcast, helping leaders be a positive catalyst on the people they support, the organizations they serve, and the communities they live. This podcast will make you think, laugh, and grit your teeth with new determination to make your parish or business a place of transformation, passion, and purpose. If you're still breathing, you are powered for impact.
Hello and welcome back. My name is Ron Huntley. Welcome to the Leadership Podcast. As I have these conversations and do what I do it all with the church in mind. If you're a church leader and you're entering into these conversations, I hope that you'll look at it through the lens of the people in your parish. Because sometimes we talk about issues and concepts that might not apply to you, but will apply to the people that you love and serve. And so think about these conversations with that in mind. Be somebody that's triaging these conversations to people who need it. I can't think of a conversation that's more relevant to churches around the world than sexuality, because it's such a powerful, beautiful, and misunderstood part of being human. And so I know as priests, probably one of the most talked about issues in confession is sexuality. It's tough. And where do we take people? Yes, it's great to absolve sins. Of course, the sacrament of reconciliation is unbelievable. But how do people get out of the traps and the patterns that are unhealthy to find freedom? It's not easy. But my guest today is Helena Bonneteau. Helena's husband, Sean, was on the show not that long ago. And as we were talking, he was sharing with me about how he co-founded the ministry Secret Habit with his wife. And he told me what she's ministering into. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have got to have her on the show. Helena, welcome to the program.
Hi, Ron. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for everyone for listening. I am really just excited to be here and share with you my heart.
I love that. Helena is a certified coach and mentor. She really has a mission to give women a voice to their pain. The whole idea of rejection, trauma, when husbands choose screens over their wives. I think it's such an important conversation. In fact, sharing with some of my friends the fact that we were going to have this conversation, Helena, so many women were like, I am going to tune in. And perhaps if you're a husband and you've struggled or do struggle with pornography, this is going to give you a perspective that maybe you didn't have, but also maybe it can be a tool that you can share with your spouse or your significant other so that you can begin to have healthy conversations about this very topic. So again, I'm really excited to have the conversation. Helena, why is this a topic that's important to you? How did God take you to this place of having the courage to speak into this issue?
How did God take me to this? I think that's a great question. I love that. It really started with the understanding that I have a story too. I think we throw this around, like, what is your story? But I think so many of us are like, what is my story? Right. It's we throw it around like it's happening, but I think that's really where it started. It was like I have a story as well, and I have a voice as well. I need to voice the things within my story as well, and that's really where it started, because I think I just kind of coasted through life, and not like I'm a really adventurous person. I love traveling, and I'm from Czech Republic, so I think that's kind of what I want to also say. I have
cool.
the accent from the Czech Republic, but I think I was just unaware of so many things that were influencing my life. Mm-hmm. And it really started with the understanding, when Sean and I started having sex, it was this, like, there is so much that that actually revealed, and so much of our trauma got revealed within our sexuality. So I would say that's really where it all started. That wait a minute, like this really just revealed so much of our brokenness, so much of our past and what we were bringing to the bedroom. And I think it's really interesting because if we pause for a second, like, it is that place where we are naked and unashamed. So it is that place where we are very much revealed and almost naked. And so if we are unable to be that, like, emotionally and openly, like, open with our lives, with everything who we are, it's just going to clash because we are unable to, really show up with who we truly are. And that's really what happened. Sean was unable to show up and came with his lies and things that he was hiding. And it was me who came with my past and other and my own brokenness and traumatic memories of sexuality, really misunderstanding of what I thought it is, and misunderstanding of God's design for this beautiful gift, and so much pain that I was carrying that I didn't even know was there until it kind of just, it all like got revealed that I have this story, and there has been things that influenced me and affected me today. And now Sean is bringing his junk, and so it's even influencing more of, we are now both in that. And so what are we doing with this? We were so overwhelmed. Like, and who are we going to talk to about this?
Right. Can I ask you a question? Because it strikes me that you talked about, geesh, I could just meditate on that thought, naked and ashamed. And then if that's naked and ashamed. Naked and, what did you say? Naked and...
I said naked and ashamed, and I said, like, open to...
Yes, like we get revealed, right? Like,
yes,
we
revealed.
Have, like, that nakedness is like, not just physically naked, you're emotionally naked, you're spiritually naked, like with that other person you love. Like that's so intimate. If we just think about physical nakedness, I think we're missing the point.
Yes.
But because what I'm hearing you say, Helena, is that, no, it was in that space that your whole life gets revealed. You get revealed. All of you gets revealed, not just your body. And I just think, whoa, that's huge. But tell me, because you said, what you used to think about sexuality. Well, what did you used to think as a young girl growing up? Just give us some insight into that.
That's really good. Yeah, I think it really is important to have that coming in. I think there's just many extremes that, I think women get labeled certain ways, but there's also many things that, we as women get really programmed in certain ways, and some women one way and some women another way. And I think, so for me, it was actually really interesting. I have experience with watching pornography myself. And then I also went through sexual abuse. I went through just a really painful betrayal prior to that as well, and prior to meeting Sean, and just so much of like, I thought, I really thought sex is this idea of love, like it's the butterflies, is the attraction, is the thing you cannot, run away from it, because it's just, you're just attracted to that person, and that's like the part of that, and it's love, so I just had this really misunderstanding of love and sex. And really what it was is, I actually call this, I wasn't sexually discipled. Technically, I wasn't, it's kind of interesting because I've found Jesus in my sexual confusion and this messiness, and because of how the world portrays this, is actually so confusing, so overwhelming, and there's actually no hope. And really, when I was pursuing, I was kind of like lamenting on what, in the book of Ecclesiastes. I love that book because it's just like, that's really my story of like, I have tried everything and it did not work. It's like I thought that this could help, and then I end up just broken, just confused, and utterly hopeless. And sexuality just made no sense to me. So I thought is really where I receive love, and so that's kind of why I would pursue that until I really met Jesus and that understanding of, really pornography or anything like that, or even just whatever that might be in your life. It's kind of just a pacifier to the emotions and the feelings I wasn't allowing for Jesus to really held and attuned to. So I was happy, sad, mad, angry, whatever that is. And I would go to a pacifier. I would go to find another person to be with, or whatever that is. And really what I was truly longing for is for the Lord to attune to my feelings, to the inner hurts, and to even my confusion.
It's neat that sexuality is so powerful, that it can be so soothing. It can, like, temporarily outside of that relationship with a spouse, then it lacks security, it lacks consistency, it lacks safety, but we're still drawn to it. And I think it's interesting you mentioned, previously it was attraction must mean love, and if it's love, it must mean sex, and that was the paradigm of that must be normal, it must be good, because if I wasn't in love, I wouldn't be attracted, and so if I am in love, then I should have sex, and so, but that just leads to this spiral of pain and hurt, and I also love how you said, it was in my sexual confusion and the mess of life, that's where I found Jesus. It's like, I think so many people, like, I've been engaged with pornography for so long, I've had all kinds of affairs, I've done all these horrible things, I'm a horrible person, and therefore I have to keep religion and faith topics at bay, because I'm not that kind of guy, I'm not that kind of girl. It's like, that's a lie. Like, it's never too late to be saved from our mess and our destruction and our pain. No, don't believe that for a split second. That is the lie of the enemy. It's never too late. God loves you. And so you found Jesus. Tell me a little bit about that in the midst of this lived confusion.
Yeah, I love this part of sharing. And I also just want to kind of share a little bit on what you were saying there. I think so many people think that they don't have a sexual story.
Okay.
Because it's not talked about. So we kind of just don't really pay attention to that part of our lives. But the reality is God made us male and female, and that is our sex, like male and female. And so there's body parts, and so we all live this life. We all live this life that really then we have a story within that context of male and female. And that's where a lot of the confusion happens, where it's like we don't pay attention to that part of our lives. And really, and that's exactly how the enemy kind of comes in. And I just really felt like that was important to my life to realize that, like, there is that I have a sexual story as well. And even because I thought it was the betrayal, and that is part of that's the thing, we kind of separate that as to, like, betrayal, but what happens within that betrayal, it's actually it's part of our sexual story where we were actually sexually betrayed. And I think there's just so much of that where we don't pay attention to. There's that pain of betrayal within our sexual story, and just because someone is a virgin right now doesn't mean that they don't have sexual story, and them navigating their sexuality through life, navigating the questions of it. And so that's my understanding of that. And so I just wanted to say that quickly there, because that was really important for me to see that we are all have that story. And
it's built right into creation, right? It's built right into creation. Your sexual story starts at the point of conception. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It starts at the point, because how do we happen? Right? Like, if God would want to make it like somehow we don't have to talk about it, he would just drop a what do they call storks? Like, you know.
So
but
true.
He didn't. He made it. Like, it's absolutely phenomenal the way he made it. And fascinating.
Yeah.
So why is that? Right? Like, why are we afraid of these places?
Yes.
I think those ones are the exact intimate places that the Lord really wants to touch. And that's really what happened to me. It was like, I just want to tell you, like, I did not want Jesus. I was in Czech Republic, and I think there's just I don't know how much you know about, like, how little there is faith in the Czech Republic.
No,
Not many
I don't.
people know.
No.
Not many people know. It's really percentages going up to 70% and higher of people not believing in anything, agnostic, atheist, and really there's huge number of people just really not believing in anything. And so that's kind of what the culture I grew up in. My mom is a Catholic, but I just couldn't relate to that faith, or I just couldn't, or not to that faith. I couldn't relate to, I think the gospel. I couldn't understand it, and so I never really understood the gospel until in that brokenness, really, in the midst of my sexual confusion. And that's how I met Jesus. It's actually very interesting, because I saw a couple. It was right after the breakup with the man that was cheating on me, and then I went to a conference that was about love, and this couple was a couple from the U.S., and they were missionaries, and they were talking. They were actually, one of them was my teacher, my English teacher, and they were talking about love, and really they were sharing the gospel. And for the first time, I really saw a couple, like, really in love. But there was something really beautiful about that. And just there's this something I saw that I couldn't explain. And I felt it. And I really felt Jesus for the first time, just the way they were explaining love. And it was that point of my life, of really Ecclesiastes, where I realized none of this that people tell me will satisfy me. It's a lie.
Wow.
It's a lie. It doesn't. And then I saw that I am longing for a perfection for a reason. And that perfection, it is really interesting in psychology when you talk about, like, the attunement of how children need attunement of their parents, and how they need basically pretty much a perfect attunement in order for them to.
What do you mean attunement? What does that mean?
So attunement means, like, if a child is angry, mad, happy, sad, they need somebody to regulate their emotions. If they don't regulate them, then the attachment that they have with the child's attachment to the parent gets really, it's something called insecure attachment. And so that really determines a lot of how they're gonna do in life. And many of the, addictions and everything that's happening. Well, what's interesting is that this is always what comes to my mind. We as parents, we cannot, so this child longs for a perfect attunement. But I, as a parent, I am going to fail, and therefore I can never give her that perfect attunement.
Yes.
So what's the hope? What's the hope? And so, like, we are still like adult children. Like, I was that adult child, really searching for that perfection, that perfect attunement of, like, you're happy, mad, sad, glad, and you have this perfect attunement, this perfect Father that attunes to you like nobody else can.
That's true.
And that's where the healing, and that's where the realization, I wasn't just searching for any life. And that's exactly why, people, even within relationship, like, if that's why we talk about God needs to be first, because he's the only one that can fully, he was able to fully, like, touch me and change me and really give me that on daily basis, give me that fatherly attunement.
That's so beautiful. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, no, that was it. Yeah, that fatherly attunement.
Well, it seems that I've never heard it put like that before. It's just so beautiful, and it's so, what we long for is to be fully human in a way, period. And for that to happen, it needs to be safe, and people need to be trustworthy. And people do let us down. Our own parents let us down, not on purpose. We let our kids down, not on purpose. And we have to work through those relationships and those hurts and stuff. But who's the one person who will never let us down? Who's the person who knows us better than we know ourselves? Who's the person we can have a conversation with 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at any moment in history of your day, and be as honest as the day is long, because he knows everything anyway, and then begin to unpack that stuff so that he can regulate our perspectives. He can soothe our emotional condition, whatever it is. Yes. I've never heard it said like that before. It just makes so much sense to me. So I want to get back to this conference, because I'm picturing it in my mind's eye through your lens as this lady. But you look at this couple and you saw something and you realize there was a lie. Like, that's revelation. When you realize something and it's significant, that's revelation. And so in that moment, there was a revelation that, oh my gosh, I've been believing a lie. Like, there are parts of my life that's been a lie. Like, wow, that gave me goosebumps. Because I've had those experiences too, where I've realized, oh my gosh, everything I've always done in this particular area, it's not good. And it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do with the rest of my life? What do I do now? Because now that I know that, I can't unknow that. And that changes everything. That's a paradigm shift when we get that sort of revelation. But what were you seeing in that couple? I know you said it was hard to describe, but I'm going to make you describe it anyway. Because I'm just curious, as a woman, kind of in the midst of sexual confusion, hearing about love and seeing this couple, what were you seeing?
Yeah, it's, you know what, I think people might imagine this like glorious, good-looking couple, just, I don't know. That's exactly what it wasn't. They are a good-looking couple.
They were butt ugly, like, and
no, no, but it wasn't this. It wasn't staged.
Oh, it was authentic.
It was so real and authentic, and that's what I loved. Just the rawness of, they knew each other.
Oh.
And man, oh man,
It wasn't a show.
How do you do that? Yes, and they loved each other in the midst of them knowing each other deeply.
Wow. Boy, when you describe it like that, Helena, I think isn't that exactly what we experience when we come to faith? Is that we realize that God knows everything about us, all the things we said, all the things we did, all the things we didn't do, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He knows it all, and he loves us. And that's why marriage is a foreshadow and talks about in Scripture all the time. So it gives you a glimpse into the love of the Father. You know, when you see the real thing, and what I'm hearing you say is you live the counterfeit. This attraction equals love, love equals sex, let's just do that. You live that counterfeit, that confusion. But what you saw in an instant was authentic love that wasn't a show. These were real people with their real flaws, not trying to impress people, but just trying to say, hey, this is who I am, and it's okay, and that's who he is, and that's okay. And together, we're doing life in a way that brings life, that doesn't have secrets, doesn't have, insecurities that derail what a life lived well could look like. I mean, it's just, that's cool.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. You're really describing it so precisely. I like the way you're sharing that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me, that's just so beautiful. So as you saw that, as you experienced that revelation, how did that begin to change your life?
Yeah, it really brings me on to a journey of just seeking, and I went actually and I traveled for a bit. I wanted to find who I am, who I am in him. And so I really left everything, and I was living in a UK for a bit, in Germany, and God called me to Canada. And
Yay!
Yay! God called me to Canada, and I came with $100. That's all I had. I didn't have a flight ticket back. I know I'm coming back in a year because I had visa.
Yeah.
But the Lord, I was just like, I was so happy being single. It was just kind of in that place where I think I think the Lord saw just my contentment, that he had a plan with Sean and I, but it wasn't out of my own, like, I need to be with somebody, It was actually, I remember I was in a really healthy spot with, like, whatever happens. And yeah, the Lord brought Shauna into my life. So it was beautiful, really. I think just the way he did it, like, it's so crazy, because I'm just gonna stop you for a second. Like, I am from Czech Republic, like, he's from Canada, and who else can make this happen? Like, it's just like this,
Yeah.
And he starts talking to me, and Sean okay, this is like this picture I'm going to share with you because this is hilarious. I was as a total traveler, just like a toucan and a big jacket and a big backpack, and I'm going.
Yeah.
And so, and I am, sitting at a library, and Sean, okay, he was in business clothes and just totally, just ready for his meeting. Okay, so just this contrast, because I think sometimes people think, okay, you guys met in the library, so, you were probably, there in the heels and, a nice little purse or something, It's like, no, that's not what it was. And that's the beautiful thing. I think, women think that they need to, I wanted somebody to love me, just, with the knowing, knowing me. And because of what I saw. And so I really, when Sean and I met, it was just, it's funny that way. And plus, it wasn't, for me, I was what does this guy want? You know,
Right,
it's just
yeah.
like this business guy.
Yeah, I'm dressed like a traveling hobo, and not all dolled up, and so, yeah.
That's exactly. And I think I just want like women to like just feel authentic that, you know, they don't, if they're single, you know, or they don't need to do or look anywhere specifically, that if there is a plan, that God will bring that person. Like he literally knocked me in, you know, just he made that work. Like I did nothing for, you know what I mean? It just happened. And yeah, and you know, and that's kind of where the story really began a lot with Sean and finding yeah, like just finding our like who we are, finding out who we are, and learning about each other. And we were in love like really, really fast, but it was like different than anything I have experienced before. There was a really like a real depth to just kind of what I felt from the Lord. He was so clear that I'm supposed to get to know this guy. So we went on this journey. You know, I'm gonna speed this up a little bit, but
Sure.
we got married really fast, within like 11 months. And Sean already had the ring within like 4 months of him and I meeting, and we barely saw each other. So like it's not it was very
It's not your
fast.
typical, yeah.
It's not, no.
Yeah.
No, it's not the typical, but it was just so, it felt really right, even with that all messiness. And then Sean, you know, it really had just some sort of idea, but there was one thing that I really saw in Sean, and that was that like he's such a willing guy that I saw him kind of handling conflicts and problems. And I knew I don't want to, you know, he owned his stuff and I owned mine. And I just, that's so hard to find. And I really appreciated that he, I could see that right from the beginning, that he was willing. And he told me that he's struggling with pornography, you know? And I just remember, like, not again. I was just, there was one part of me that was like, not again. And then another part of me was like, I know what it's like. And then another part of me was like, oh, this is great. He's getting help. And then another part of me felt like I need to do something about this. Like, maybe it's because of me.
Oof.
And so there were, and then the old parts of me that were so shattered and broken in around sexuality really kind of were brought. But I was trying to shut them down. I was trying to be strong.
What do women go through? Give me some insight. You know, when you just said, oh, not again, it just broke my heart, because, you know, pornography addiction is so prevalent, even within the church. Like, let's not kid ourselves. And so what's that like for a woman? Help me understand, because I'm a man. And so help me understand as a woman what that looks like, what that feels like, what the thought, like, because one of the things you said is maybe it's my fault. And I just thought, oh, so just can you walk me through that?
Yeah, there are layers to what happens to women. I would describe it as the safety and trust slowly erodes. And as the relationship progresses. So when you love someone, that's what you want. You want that deep knowing, deep love, deep understanding, just the depth of being open with each other and vulnerable. And it's just you who I want to be with, you know? And I chose you, and so it just feels like there's somebody else that you're choosing, and the trust slowly erodes and the safety slowly erodes because more pornography, more lies, more hiding, more shame, and the safety, especially in a woman's life, is so important. It's just the feelings of safety. And pornography is really the destroyer of a woman's safety. It's really, if you think about even the women in pornography, is the opposite of a woman's safety. It's an abuse on womanhood, really. And so it really speaks deep into a woman and who she is and her dignity, her womanhood. And so it really erodes that part of you. And then if you have a story, and you have a story, there are things when you're losing the safety and the trust, the person you love the most, and that you think that you're meant to spend the rest of your life with, and that slowly erodes you feeling like your ground is shattering, and slowly you're like, how can I make this ground solid again? So it must be my fault. It must be, based on your story. For my story, there's going to be some sort of lies. For my story, I went through a lot of body image issues, and just a lot of women do. And so it really speaks into the core of our physical nakedness and knowing. And that, just feeling like there is never gonna be that there is something that is competing with me. You know what I mean? And it
Sure.
even though it is, this person loves you, that's what it feels to a woman when it's you as a man, as a person, the deep desire of man is also to be loved, as the way, with the hair, with the eyes, with just how you're made to be loved and to experience intimacy that way. And not that somebody you love is experiencing that intimate connection of even the physical way, thinking and looking and feeling. Somebody is looking at and experiencing that with somebody else. And in that moment, because, and then the lies, as they're extending, you are slowly just starting to lose trust with this person. And the ground is really of your relationship erodes, and you feel, many women feel PTSD-like symptoms, really hypervigilancy, dreams, disturbing dreams, things they can't eat, they can sleep, they can't communicate. It's real, even from psychological perspective. And really, we don't talk about this, but this just we many times just call it as the woman is trying to control and just do all these things. I think it's a natural response of so many women of how they actually have been traumatized by the lies and the safety being done, just in that relationship. So it's just kind of really all the emotions and all of that is just being it's a natural response to their traumatic experience, really, that they are feeling.
As I listen to you, I think, as a man, that whole idea of provide and protect, it's it's just not a moral obligation. It's hardwired right into, maybe not all men, but most, I think, feel the sense to provide and protect, and to know the very things that you might be doing sexually with pornography is undermining a woman's sense of safety, which opens them up to all kinds of emotions and feelings and ways of relating that are not healthy. They start listening to their own lies, the body image thing that a lot of women wrestle with. Like, it's complicated. And it triggered, it's not as simple as one might think. Hey, pornography, masturbation, now I feel better. It's like, oh, no. like self-centered, not really taking into consideration the opportunity that you have to be the man that woman needs you to be the person that woman needs you to be the person you want to be. Like, it just undermines and erodes a man's integrity, perhaps. And because ultimately God is love, and it's our ability to live love well and selflessly for others that forms our character and our legacy for our kids and our businesses and our churches. And I just really encourage any of you that are listening, or any of you priests that are listening to this, and I know that affects priests too, but also the people that you're meeting in confession. Like, how can we help? Like, how can we find help for those people that are so entangled in these patterns of behavior, these addictive patterns of behavior that are tearing apart the very fabric of that loving marriage that people want to be committed to. They want to figure it out, but sometimes it just gets so messy and so marred that they don't know how to get out. And the work that you and Sean do, talk to me a little bit about the coaching. Like, how do people reach out to you, and what does that look like? Like, if I called you today, like, let's say I was a lady and I got in touch with the ministry, like, how does that start? What does that look like?
Yeah, so right now, so for a women, I am in the process in January, hopefully launching a group, and right now it's very much I do like on the side coaching, and I am trying to, I have a curriculum for women to go through, to kind of process their pain and to do that even on their own if they want to. And they can find that on the website. But I also just I'm available to, I am available to connect if that's what you really want, and we can connect on that. I am doing a lot of coaching right now, more just aside and casually than normally, and then in January it's something that I want to do more in a group setting.
Right.
But I just want to I would love to encourage you into just kind of the process of healing and the journey and how it looks like. I'm also launching I'm launching a book. I'm writing a book, and it's a poetry book. Beautiful. And it's about feeling your feelings, and really most of kind of the healing processing I went through because of kind of what we're going through as women is that I think so many people want to just fix us, and that happens to men as well. People are not learning to sit with other people's emotions and kind of what's happening. Like, they just want to go straight to fixing, kind of like the left part of the brain, of the logical sense. But many of the healing actually just actually needs attending to these emotions, and there is a process to that, and feeling what we're meant to feel. Like, I really love the book of Psalms. I think, why is David called God after his own heart? Why is he called that way, right? It's just, and the book of Psalms, really, that's kind of how my poetry book was birthed from, was I was reading the book of Psalms, and I was in the midst of my kind of really just kind of a season of life that was difficult, because I became a new mom. And I was just processing, I started to process like in my journal, and I was like, wow, these poems, like they are poems, like they are very poetic, and
Beautiful.
I love I love the prophetic, and so I felt like really there were a couple of situations where I had some certain things happening where I wrote a poem, and it wasn't for me, and it wasn't for a man that was like is dying, and he was crying when he was almost crying when he read the poem, and so there is just that deeply felt emotions, like David is writing, that I'm trying to write in that book, and for people to start having their feelings felt, and really processing them with the Lord, and how he connects the dots of that turbulation. So if you're a woman right now in a great turbulation of your feelings, don't be afraid of them. Like the Lord already knows about them, and he wants to embrace you in them. Like just where you're at, and he is the perfect lover. I can tell you that. Like you don't have to wait for your husband to get better in order for you to get better, and that is you actually need to process all the things that are happening right now, and not be afraid of them, and let the Lord really touch those painful places of your heart. Touch them, soothe them, and comfort them, and not just skip over that part.
Beautiful. Well, it's fun that you're doing that and taking the time to put together a book of poetry. That's going to be beautiful. I look forward to being one of the first purchasers of that book when it comes out. It'll be beautiful. I want to just double back around, if I could, before we close off. I want to know, and it's okay if you don't want to tell me, just maybe I should preface it with that, but you mentioned that your mom was a Catholic, and I know as a parent, I pray for my kids every day because I love them so much, and yet I can't live their life for them. They need to make their own decisions. They need to make their own mistakes. What was it like for your mom? Did you ever talk to her about that season of your life where you were struggling? I'm sure she knew. I'm sure she saw it, maybe the degree to which she probably wasn't aware, or maybe not aware. But then as you started to encounter find your faith, and then start to work things out, like what was that like for her to see you come into your own?
Yeah, my mom is amazing. I really love my mom. She is a beautiful woman of God, and I think she just didn't know how to express the gospel in that season, and I think just my journey is different, but yeah, my mom is very dear to me, so it was like really special. I think we went back, and actually like my mom apologized to me for the parts of that probably she could have done, and that happened, and I did share with her kind of the things that happened that didn't happen, like things that could have happened and didn't happen, and things that happened and maybe should not happen. And we were just open. I think one of the things in our family that is beautiful is that our openness with one another, that we're honest. And so in that honesty, I felt safe with my mom to be honest. And in that honesty, she helped me really well. And I think there's just really a lot of beautiful things that happen. And my mom and I are very close today. And I love her. I love her deeply.
That's awesome. And a shout out to your mom. I'm sure that even it's hard to parent. It's we get ourselves in situations we don't know how to handle, and I don't know any of us as parents that don't have regrets at different times. But guarantee you she was praying for you, and God heard her prayers, and I'm sure she's very proud of you and how you're helping others and how you're navigating this, to detangle the confusion, to bring clarity to that, so that you can love well, love your husband well, love your son or a daughter. Did you have a boy or girl?
Daughter Violet.
Daughter
She
Violet.
is a year and a half. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so to be able to love her as purely and as well as possible, and then to help others love so much. Like, you've been able to take these difficult seasons of your life, these difficult experiences, and use them for good. And that's the best redemption story ever. Like, that's a resurrection story. Like, don't count me out. Like, if you're listening now and you're thinking, you feel like you're counted out, you feel like it's too late, you've done too many bad things, or you feel like you're a bad person, or you're too mixed up, or whatever else, it's like, no, you're not. That's not true. There's hope for everyone, all of us, because we can all feel that way at times. And I think what's beautiful, Helena, about your story is that you're willing to tell it. And that just gives so many people hope. That I just think it's important, it's beautiful, and what you're doing, it really does, it matters so much. You know, the whole concept of, I heard this the other day, and I wish I could say it the way it was taught. I can't even remember where I heard it. That's what happens when you get older, you forget everything. But they were explaining the term holy matrimony. Even the term, like the whole concept of marriage as a sacrament in the Roman Catholic Church. Holy matrimony, maternal matrimony. It's about the woman. It's about creating that safe space for a woman to fully be who she is in safety. Like, marriage makes that safe, the sacred, the naked, the sexuality, all of that stuff. It's there. It's that sacrament is to wrap around a woman. It's so beautiful to create safety forevermore. And it's just so beautiful. And that sacrament, as Catholics, if we can understand that sacramental life and the purpose of the sacrament of holy matrimony, like, as men, we have an opportunity and a responsibility to live up to what we said we were going to do, and it really is to protect and make safe and honor and cherish the very person that God gave us to love. It's so cool. There's no downside.
I love that. Ron, I love, just I'm going to say this, I love the way you're sharing the vision for people. This is I love that, just because this is so important for people, just to know the goodness that they're aiming for, how much that is better. You know, I'm just gonna go back to Ecclesiastes, how everything else is just such, it's meaningless, and how that is beautiful, what you're talking about, Ron. It's that vision. It's not actually like us, oh, I'm just gonna muster this up so I don't do something or something.
Right.
It's the transformation for better, for the goodness, because that's what we want. We don't want the meaningless. And I just really wanted to share that. That was really beautiful, just the way you said that.
Thank
and
you.
the way you give people vision.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm mindful of young girls and young women. What would you say to them, like, if they were listening to this, or if they were going to listen to this, and they're wondering if maybe they're off track, or they're going off track, or they're feeling this pull into this sexual confusion? What are some of those signs for them? What are some of the red flags or yellow flags that they can look at their life, their feelings, their emotions, their choices, and go, oh, maybe I should stop this path, because this isn't going to be a path that I'm probably going to be thankful for later? What would you say to young ladies?
What would I say? I would ask her, who are you, and what do you want? What is the, like, if you really dig into the deepest parts of your heart, which is the part of your heart that is really longs. We are made, it's in the Bible, we are made with that in our hearts, the deep longing that is for our Father, and that satisfaction in Him. So if you really dig deep into that, like what do you really want? What do you want your life to look like? And who do you want to be? I think it's just such an important question to ask, especially in girls, because it's all about kind of what you were saying, Ron, is so many women are confused, and so many, because there's not vision for just kind of where they can be, and what is their role in life. And I think I just want to encourage them, that there is such a beauty in strength in women, and I want to encourage you in that, and encourage you in your own story, really letting the Lord touch your hearts, because those things that the world offers, and maybe the Hollywood offers and shares with you, and thinks that's what it's gonna be, it is a lie. And I can tell you, and many people can tell you, that it is a lie, and it truly doesn't satisfy. So where do you want to be?
Amen. What a great question. And that's going to require honesty and meditation and journaling, and to be really honest with yourself. And you know, Helena keeps mentioning the book of Ecclesiastes. Maybe get a Bible and read that so that you know what she's talking about, and be honest with yourself. And once you are really honest with yourself, then ask yourself, well, my behaviors and what I'm doing, are they aligned with who I feel called to be and who I want to be? And if they're not, it's never too late to stop. It's never too late to hit the reset button. It's never too late to boot a guy to the curb if he doesn't have the character of a man that you want to be with. Like, don't tolerate that crud. Like, get rid of him. If he's a bum, he's a bum. If he's honest like Sean and is willing to deal with his stuff and not run from it, so that together you can support each other and deal with your stuff together, so that you can move to a place of being the person you feel called to be and you want to be, and that's a person of character. That's who you want to be yoked with, you know, not these monkeys that just are looking for something from you, as a, you know, treating you like a utility, as something that they throw away for their pleasure. Like, that's just not cool, and there's no good going to come of that. Like, that is an empty way of living, and that's never going to bring you the peace and the joy you're looking for. That's for sure. Helena, it's been so fun to have this conversation. It's such an important conversation. I hope that men and women alike listen to this so that it kicks off conversations. I hope parents and children listen to this and it kicks off honest, beautiful conversation. I hope your book comes out so we can read your poetry and reflect on it, and have that change our hearts and touch our hearts. Just one last question. Tell me about your podcast. Why do you do it? And what are you trying to speak into through the podcast you guys do?
Yes, I could have mentioned that earlier. It was thanks for bringing this up. Yeah, that's actually, I think that is a wonderful way for women that are right now finding themselves in just a really difficult spot with their husband and for men that they are just navigating this road of pornography in their lives, and if that is in your marriage right now, and that's happening, really, I really highly encourage you to listen to the podcast. We do talk about just the reality. So the whole idea started with, we had people, you know, sitting on our couch, and we would have like really like just honest conversations about these topics, and more of kind of like discipleship. It kind of, we call like, it's just kind of like a sexual discipleship, you know. And we'd have people on our couch and we'd talk about these things, and so we really felt like, and there was a couple of people that were sharing with us, we should start a podcast. And then because Sean and I are processing so much all the time, we already have these conversations anyway, we were like, you know what, we should just have that recorded because we have this conversation on our couch. Let's record that. And so this is really how it started, because we really felt like that's, you know, we didn't have, so these people on the couch that were sitting here before, they didn't have somebody speaking into their life, because we also had such a hard time finding a couple talking about sexuality and like really the topic of sex in biblical perspective, and just kind of like an honest, vulnerable, just maybe refreshing way. And so we really felt like that's really, we are that couple for you, that couple that is going to be talking about that stuff.
It's so important because it opens up conversations, and I think the freer we can be, the less shame we bring into the bedroom, the more honesty and openness we bring into the bedroom, the less unresolved problems and issues we bring into the bedroom, the better our sex life is, the more intimate our marriage is, the more secure and safe it is, the stronger it is. And isn't that what we all long for in our relationships?
That's so true. That's right. That's that vision. That's the vision that we all are longing for.
So what's the name of the podcast? How can people find it?
It's a Secret Habit podcast, so it's super easy to remember. You can find it on our website. There is like on Spotify, on the Apple Podcast. Obviously, it's on Podbean, on Google. So really, there's lots of options to listen to this podcast. We also right now are releasing with the podcast weekly blogs, so you can also read it in a blog form if you want to. And it's simple as like, you can even sign up on our website for just there is a free version of like, what is the first step to pornography, and then, you know, afterwards you're going to be getting newsletters, weekly newsletters on that with the blogs and the podcast. So we are trying to put out there as much as content for people to really just, you know, as much of us and what really God has called us to, what He has called us to, and bring the light to. So I want to encourage you. You know, this is for free, so it's not it's a free resources for everyone to just tune in and to feel connected and you know, grow through this.
Love that. And if you're a parish leader and you're listening to this, I mean, this affects your parish like you know it does. And so do you preach into this? Do you speak into this? Do you have a place to send people? And maybe this podcast and these resources might be a great place for couples to, and even teens, to have these conversations and choose sexually who they want to be, because it impacts their spirituality in ways that are so significant. It's not funny. We are not apart from our bodies. We are our bodies. They're one and the same. And so we can't treat our bodies like crap or give it away like crazy and that not affect our faith, our spirituality, our health, our happiness, our joy. And so I just encourage all of you church leaders to check out this stuff. Decide for yourself or with a group of people whether this is stuff that will be helpful in your church. And if so, let's get this stuff out there, because we need to be having these conversations. We need to be sexually healthy, and marriages need to be holy if they're going to last. And so thank you again, Helena, for your ministry, and to Sean, and for all that you do. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, Ron. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to just close with, you know, the territory of sexuality for Christians is a territory to be reclaimed, because it's God-given.
Amen. A hearty amen to that. So again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up button. All that stuff helps. Leave a comment, ask some questions. If you do end up reaching out to Helena and Sean, just fire me a note and let me know. I love hearing when our listeners connect with the guests we have on the podcast, and it happens all the time, and it makes me so happy. It's exactly why we have these conversations. Thank you for all you do to make the church, your home, your business better. You guys are awesome. God bless, and we'll see you next time.
God bless.
I want to encourage you, as you lead this week, be faithful to God and generous to others. See you next time, and remember, if you're still breathing, you are powered for impact.